All right, hey everyone. Sorry about the bad audio on the last video. I was messing around with the settings the night before, and I accidentally turned it a bit too far down and forgot to turn it back up before I started recording. Hopefully, it's better in this one. But yeah, as you can see, I've settled on a name for this series. I wouldn't lie. I wouldn't be lying if it wasn't partially because of this one tweet that I kind of got jump scared by when I logged into Twitter one day. But yeah, I think I think just calling it album talk is a little more apt of a name, and I think it lets me talk about albums that maybe I don't like totally love, but I still want to talk about or share my thoughts about. So I think it's a little less restrictive of a name, and I think people will still get what I'm trying to go for here. But yeah, here we got another 10 albums. I guess without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the Black Album by Metallica. I think this is a solid album, but I feel like the guitar riffs weren't really as interesting as previous Metallica albums. And on top of this, the solos sounded pretty similar to each other. And while I did in general like James's vocals, he was definitely doing the how am I gonna try? Am I gonna try and say it? The yeah sort of thing, like on a lot of the songs. I don't really have the the vocal chops for that really, but it's definitely a criticism seen from a lot of people on this album. Bass was way more audible on this album than the last one, which I thought was pretty nice. And this is kind of seen as the Metallica sellout album, and although that was kind of said for like literally every Metallica album that came before it, I think this is where the criticism really started to have merit, especially considering songs from later down the line from other albums. Like I haven't listened to those anything after any full project after this album from Metallica, but like it's pretty easy to see how songs like say Creeping Death are different from Fuel. Like it's Fuel is way more of a generally appealing sort of sound comparatively. And it's not like Metallica was like that difficult of a band or too off kilter from the mainstream to get into, but you can definitely tell that they started leaning way more into this like poppy sort of sound after this album. But despite all that, I think this album still has some of Metallica's most iconic songs, like Enter Sandman, Sad But True, Through the Never, just to name a few. I think this album is still worth listening to, but I think for me, I'm probably not going to listen to anything they released after this one. It's certainly not a bad project, but I don't think it's their best by any means. 13 Months of Sunshine by Emine. Another summery sort of album by Emine following the collab album he had with Kaytranada back in 2023. And this album seems to follow that sound with some tracks thrown in here being sort of house inspired. It's a lot of good vibes with some more introspective tracks thrown in there as well. I still think Limbo is his best album, but this is still a pretty good album all things considered. We got Slipnot self-titled. Some pretty awesome guitar riffs and drummings on here, and in general, I think I prefer the sound of Iowa from the guitar tones to the vocals. This album still has both of those like pretty good. Corey Taylor's vocals on this album definitely take some time to grow on you, but I think there's just something so raw about them at times. Like Eyeless, for example, the part where he's like, "You can't see California with them Marlon Brando's eyes." I'm not even gonna try to say it like how he does it. I wasn't really a big fan of how he was like delivering that on my first listen, but eventually I just kind of had it stuck in my head, and I just kept like replaying it over and over again. Great drum work, not only on that track but just on the album in general. Toxicity by System of a Down, very overt in its messaging on songs like Prison Song. I don't really mess with all the vocals, but it's got some solid guitar riffs. I think it's probably more of an acquired taste though, because I think I do find myself coming back to certain songs on this album from time to time, and I think on first listen, what instrument really stood out to me on this album was the drums. I feel like they really just hit. But I think nowadays, probably, I think the guitar really is my favorite part. I think Aerials and Chop Suey have riffs that, if someone put them on the greatest metal guitar riffs of all time, I don't think I'd really complain. Like those riffs are from those two songs are just so iconic, and just so awesome too. Punk Tactics by Joey Valence and Bray. I think No Hands is definitely superior to this album, but there's definitely some cool ideas on this album as well. It's kind of a less developed version of that album, but it makes sense since this one came out earlier. Super high energy and beats, and I think if you like No Hands, I think this album is worth a listen for you. But if you didn't, or you just thought it was alright, I think it's fine to skip this one. Lamb Over Rice by Action Bronson and The Alchemist. I thought this project was pretty cool. This is the second Action Bronson album that I've listened to, and while I think I prefer his latest album with his live instrumentation, this album has some pretty great beats, and Action Bronson has some funny bars. So if you're an Action Bronson fan, and you haven't heard this album, give it a listen. Music by Playboy Cardi. This album's been out for a while, and my thoughts on it have developed, and I think my view. It's very hard to put it in words, I guess. My view of the album. I think originally I don't want to say I didn't have a good view of the album initially, but I understood that when I first listened to the album, I liked it a lot more than I do now. But even when I did like it, I kind of realized that, like, yeah, this is probably gonna grow off me a little. And this album kind of has the same issue as Whole Lotta Red, because that's kind of what happened with that album with me as well. And it also shares the same problem Whole Lotta Red, with the track list just being so bloated, which kind of contributes to that forgettability and the album kind of growing off of me. There's definitely highlights on here though, for sure. Like same with Whole Lotta Red. Like they both have insane gems in their track list, but the track list for both of those albums should have just been cut down a fair amount. And the tracks that I really liked when I first dropped, like a lot of them I just don't really care for, except maybe Good Credit. And even then, I don't even think Good Credit's in my like regular rotation anymore either. I think the best tracks on here are definitely from the deluxe tracks. You got the 2024. There's oh god, just trust the four or five tracks that he put on the deluxe version of this album are definitely the best tracks from this album. But just so much of this album is like forgettable, underdeveloped, or just not very good. Which sucks because on it when Cardi's in his bag, he can really make some great songs, which you can definitely see on here. Like Olympian, you got like yeah, Good Credit, like he's in his rapping bag. He's like Backdoor was good. I think he did a pretty good performance on Backdoor as well. There's like so many songs of the album I can't like. It's so hard to pick out individual ones, except like ones that I like. I don't know, like kind of don't care for. Like any of the Uzi collab songs, like I don't really care for. I like Charge Them Josephi when it first came out, and then like now it's like We Need All the Vibes was cool for like a week or two, and then I just kind of it's meh now to me. Like, yeah, but I think this album as a whole, I think this album is kind of a slog to get through. And for some people, they don't really care about that. Some people just want to grab the songs that they like, just put it in their playlist, and if they like the songs that they put in their playlist, the album was good to them. And if people want to listen to music that way, that's cool. It's just not really the way that I like to listen to it. I'd like to have both the gems from the track list and enjoy the album as a full piece of work, a full body of work, because a good album, to me, is an artist's way of sort of expressing ideas and sounds completely and just as a finished product, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on music. Alfredo by Freddie Gibbs and The Alchemist. This is actually, I think I did like 3 projects of The Alchemist on this video, but he's a producer, so I guess we can do three just for him. But on first listen, I didn't really think too much of this album. That's because this was kind of before Freddie Gibbs really clicked for me. But I listened to Bandana, and then I went back to this album afterwards, and I also just listened to more of The Alchemist production as well. And I like it a lot more now. Great sample work. Every feature does a great job. Like Rick Ross has a great feature on Scotty Beam. Tyler's on Something to Rap About. I think Benny the Butcher has a pretty good feature as well, if I remember correctly. I forget. But But yeah, all the features are solid. Freddie dropped some great verses as well. 1985's guitar sample was really cool. I liked it a lot. But yeah, this is a pretty solid project from both of them. Scaring the Host by JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown. Look, this album is still as fresh as it was when it released 2 years ago. There's just so many creative sample flips. I think these are some of Peggy's craziest ones of his like career. Honestly, like Lean Beef Patty, Garbage Pail Kids, Fentanyl Tester, Kingdom Hearts Key. All these insane sample flips on here. Both Peggy and Danny both drop great verses. It never really feels like either really out-rapped each other, or if they do out-rap each other on a song, it feels like they out-rapped each other on an equal number of songs. And on top of this, just seeing these two perform live was just so awesome. I went to the Scaring the Host tour in 2023, and JPEG had so much stage presence. He really got the crowd going. Danny was great. They both played their solo stuff. I remember when It Rain came on. That's a song that me and my friend both really love. I turned to my friend and we both got like so excited and we both just ran straight into the pit. I gotten a bit off topic, but this album's just so good. Red Veil's the only feature on here, and he really shines. He really takes advantage of the spot he's given here. I forget if this was... I think I'd listened to Red Veil first when he was on the PG Baby remix, but I think this... when he featured on this album, it really made me really want to like listen to him as a solo artist. But yeah, great album. One of his definitely in his top 3 for sure. Voir Dire by Earl Sweatshirt and The Alchemist. I think from both Earl and The Alchemist, this album is great on both the verses and the production fronts. But I think a lot of the beats definitely do sound similar to each other, which isn't a new criticism. JPEG Mafia's comments on the two of them recently come to mind, and I think I still enjoy the music the two of them make together, but I can definitely see where he's coming from by saying that. I'm just not really sure why he chose to call out these two in particular when saying that, when there's other artists out there that are making the same song over and over again in way more egregious ways. There's way lazier artists and producers out there. But yeah, like I think just some pretty cool beats, like pretty chill album in general. But yeah, like it a lot. And that's pretty much it for this video. I know I've said this like literally every video I've made, whether I don't know if there's going to be another one next week or not. I have plans for some other videos where I just kind of talk about an album that I really like a lot and just dedicate a whole video to it. So maybe I'll take some extra time to script that out, record that. We'll see. So I wouldn't expect another video for next week, but just know that I do have plans to make more videos after this one for sure. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.